Hello and welcome to the Automotive Flux channel. So today we're going to start off by doing a rally. Last week we wound up doing a couple of championships. Let's go 60s. And we'll take the... let's take the Mini Cooper. We may as well. I mean, it might give us a bit of a disadvantage, but let's give it a shot. Alright, so there isn't actually... Wow, it has a little light on top. That's pretty interesting. So, there isn't much to talk about this week, I must admit. The full screen is still not fixed on my computer, so I still can't see the other screen, so this might end up being like a half-hour video randomly, or a 15-minute video randomly, because I don't actually know how to keep track of the time. Wow, this track is really narrow, so I'm glad that I decided to go with this car. Wow, it does not drift well, though, being front-wheel drive. Okay. Yeah, so let's get into it. Today is a day like any other. It's Wednesday morning, the morning before this video goes up. And EA is still getting bashed by the community about Star Wars Battlefront 2, which comes out at some point this week. I'm not sure if it came out already or not. But, yes, they're continuing to be hated on, and they definitely deserve it. So I thought I'd talk about that this week. I didn't really play any more new games. I did have one planned, but I didn't get a chance to play it last night because I was watching Parks and Recreation Season 2, and I'm liking it a lot, so... Nice. So, yeah, I just didn't get a chance to play it because I was occupied. But anyway... Let's talk about Star Wars Battlefront. So, I have a bit of a history with Star Wars Battlefront. I had the second one, the Renegade Squadron version. Actually, that's the first one. So, I had Star Wars Battlefront Renegade Squadron on PSP, and that is one of my top played PSP games. I played it endlessly. I found ways to hack into it a little bit so you could get full gear and then not be limited in credits. Well, that was going to be a pretty spectacular crash, but let's go back. But my point is, I played that game a lot, and then also Star Wars Battlefront 2 on PSP. You can also look that up, but I think it had another sub name as well because they couldn't release the full game on there. But played the heck out of that. I actually borrowed it from a friend constantly to play the game because it was a little bit different than Renegade Squadron and I liked it quite a bit. So, yeah. I have fond memories of those games, even though it's on PSP and not PC where I have it now. I still had a lot of fun. And now they've decided to revitalize the franchise in a way that only EA could, by making it into Battlefield but with Star Wars. And then the first one that they did a couple of years ago, it wasn't horrendous, but it was incredibly shallow and pretty much had nothing going for it other than the Star Wars theme and the graphics. The gameplay was mediocre and the depth of it was like a pond. There wasn't much to it. You couldn't do anything. I didn't buy it. I don't buy full-priced games, as you know, and it's just not come on sale to the point where I'd be willing to buy it. Also, there's no point in buying it because the community is going to be dead soon with the new game coming out. So, let's talk about the new game then. If you don't know already, the Cult of Outrage is very outraged about this one, but honestly, I think they're justified at this point. The problem is when things start to go to the developers instead of to the publisher. People find the developers on Twitter and then they kind of send them death threats and do things that no person should have to deal with. The harassment from people on Twitter about your game, even though you probably have no control over the microtransactions and the progression. But anyway, don't do that kind of thing. That's my point there. So, the hate that the game is getting is pretty much exclusively because of the business model of it. It's a full-price game, which is $80 here in Canada. and it has significant microtransactions that are honestly not micro transactions, they're major transactions, and they block a decent amount of content from the game, like stat upgrades, character unlocks. Basically, if you don't pay or if you don't play a ridiculous amount, you will be objectively weaker than your enemies who have been willing to take out the cards and pay for things. And that obviously is a big problem. This is an $80 game, $80 in Canada, and it's probably going to cost you. I just saw the post on Reddit like an hour ago maybe, but I think it's $2,100 US, which is about 2,800 or something Canadian, to be able to buy the rest of the game. That's just insane. That's like free to play game style, and they're charging $80 for it. It's nuts. To put that into perspective, a game like Smite, obviously with a much less of a cult following in the topics, at least now. Back in ancient times, it would have been huge, but like Smite's business model, I would say, is a very good one, having only cosmetics as purchasable, and that's something that I'll always respect Smite for, and I thank them for that. That's pretty much the only reason I still play the game. When I started playing the game, I noticed the business model was good. I bought the God Pack. That's the only thing I've bought in the game, and I've had like 1,200 hours of enjoyment out of it, and I've only spent $20. That's the kind of game I like. Not a game like Battlefront where I spend $80 to get in. I'm probably pretty locked in the world for a couple hours, but then start to notice that you're lagging behind a little bit. EA has taken some steps they claim to remedy this. They've lowered the cost of heroes, which used to take 40 hours each to unlock in game time, because of the credit system. And that's without bringing out your wallet. I'm sure if you brought that out, it would take 10 minutes. But they lowered the cost by 75%. But still, that's 10 hours to unlock one hero in a game that you paid $80 for. I still think that's too much. Most people who buy this game are not even going to play 10 hours, which means they'll just never get Darth Vader. They'll never get Luke. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. They need to just scrap the entire system, to be honest. I'm not sure what they're gonna do about the total cost that just came out. I just saw that, like I said, an hour ago. But $2,100 to buy the full game, that's to buy all the unlockables, like all the cosmetics and all the cards that affect your... Yeah, the cards that affect your, performance. Like, they give you boosts to things, like you get extra damage on abilities and such. So, I have no idea what they're going to be doing about that. It really just seems like they need to completely redo the system. Take out the microtransactions entirely to please the community, if for nothing else. And just give people the opportunity to unlock this stuff in-game within the 10 hours that they'd be playing it. I don't want the entire game unlocked in 10 hours, but you've got to be able to have a reasonable amount of content in 10 hours, considering the fact that you paid $80 for the game. In an ideal scenario, I wish that the game was purely cosmetic in unlocks, like the old Star Wars Battlefronts. Even then, they didn't have any... Like, those games are just pure and simple. It's just... You pick a droid, they pick a clone or something, and then you fight each other. Nobody has any real advantages, unless you choose a different class, but anybody can have the classes. You just have to wait, like you can only have one hero on the field at a time. Vehicles actually worked in the old ones, so you don't get vehicles in the new ones. It's just, I would say that Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original, is shaping up to be objectively better than the new one when it comes to its current state. And that's just sad. Like, why remake a game if the old one is going to be better? Like, when they remake a game, I expect it to be at least on par with the original. All they have to do... Okay, let's not roll this mini at the first corner. But all they have to do is just remake the old one in the Frostbite engine with the graphics of the first remake that they did. And I would buy that for sure on a discount, because I'm cheap as heck. And I'm also poor as heck, too. But that's the kind of thing I want. Not this, like, money-grubbing, like, cancerous loot box system. It's just... It's terrible the way that things are going, and I'm already a patient gamer for sure, and I'm somebody who looks to the previous titles for things that are interesting, hence the fact that we're playing Dirt 3 right now and not Dirt 4. But, yeah, I don't like the way things are going. I don't like this new business model of EA's. I don't like that they're pushing the boundaries of microtransactions and really turning them into macro transactions that limit you from getting the entire game. But anyway, that's it for Battlefront for now. We'll see what happens when it launches, or if it has launched already this week. I'm sure the reviews are going to be pretty bad. I know that the gameplay is actually decent and a lot better than the previous game, but I can't support a game with a business model like that. Even if they were to put it out for half the price, I would still not like the business model. Okay. So in this same vein, I was watching a fail race video. He just put out one. It's a review on Need for Speed Payback. Now, again, I have a bit of a history with Need for Speed games. I used to play Underground 2 on my friend's PlayStation. Actually, it was Underground 1, and then we played 2 when 2 came out as well. But I used to play that a lot on my friend's PlayStation 2. We had a ton of fun playing that. It pretty much introduced me to car games, and it got me interested in... Oh, this is going to be tough. It got me interested in the car game genre, and that's why I picked the games that I do now. After that, at a garage sale, I found Need for Speed Most Wanted Black Edition, and I used to play that on my really crappy PC, but I beat the game several times. I used to love Need for Speed, even on PSP. Oh no, I hate these. Even on PSP, okay, we gotta do the donut. I'm so cancer at this. Alright. And then this is a spin. I don't know what I'm doing right now. It's hard to talk when doing these, which is unfortunate, because I was on a pretty decent roll there. So, my point there is, Need for Speed Carbon on PSP. I used to play that a lot. Smash this. Hopefully that's good enough. Air. Alright. Donut. Too wide. Alright, smash this. Smash this. Drift the wrong way around that. Because I am not good at this, apparently. Ooh, that was better. That was a lot better. Come on, we can get a bronze. Wow, I'm gonna end up using every flashback in this. That's all I had to do there, and then we'll fly through this, fly through this. What, that didn't count? I'm not even gonna get a bronze. This is not good. We'll do a real event after this, and then I'll be able to finish my thoughts. Wow, that is really bad. Yeah, that was really bad. Anyway, we'll just skip that for now. We don't need to worry about it. It only takes it should take us less than a minute to do it, so don't need to think about it. Alright, we'll just leave that for now, and let's go to Monster Energy Show, and we'll do this rally. Because why not? I think this is probably going to end up being a little bit longer of a video, but it's not a bad thing. Alright, we'll go with the Cosworth as well. Okay, so I'll just start a little bit back from what I was saying before. That is a sick Cosworth anyway. I'm distracted. I'm literally distracted by the air like blowing around me. That's how bad it gets sometimes. So, Need for Speed Carbon Own the City was a game that I had on PSP. Again, I played that game a ridiculous amount. I used to only have 3 games on PSP. And those would be Carbon Own the City, and that was one of the worst turns of my life. And I also used to have like Star Wars Battlefront, like I said, Renegade Squadron, and Ratchet and Clank Size Matters, and that's pretty much it. I only had those games, and I only had one system, so I played the heck out of them. But my point is that most of the new Need for Speed games I've just not been at all interested in. I've played Most Wanted. I have it on Origin when they were giving it away for free, and to be honest, it sucks. Like, what Need for Speed games kind of developed into is not at all what they used to be, and that's just incredibly disappointing. I have no more interest in these games just because of what they've turned into, which is essentially like they feel like they're on the rails. They feel like the game drives for you style racing game. Ooh. Which you can obviously see doesn't happen here because I am flying off the track at every single opportunity. Alright, we got this. Second? Oh well, we've got time to make up for second. Yeah, so if you know what I mean, then you know what I mean, but if you don't, then I'm doing a poor job of explaining it. But I just don't feel the same way that I used to about Need for Speed games, and Most Wanted Black Edition was the last one that I enjoyed, other than Carbon Own the City, which is a little bit newer. But that's it. After that, they just kind of went downhill. And now they've come up to this new series. They've got a new idea going. And I like the idea. They're back to open world instead of this weird, like, pseudo open world idea. And I'm interested in the games, but then when I find out things like they're putting all the performance mods in loot boxes, again, I can't play them. Like, EA, what the heck are you doing? You can't do this kind of stuff in every game. Oh wait, they're going to. It seems like EA is putting this loot box system into every single game. Need for Speed Payback could be a good game if it wasn't for the incredibly bad performance modification system, I mean. It's all locked behind loot boxes, just like with Star Wars Battlefront. So the way that fail race, okay, we gotta do that again. We can't just take those signs out and expect to win. So the way that fail race explained it is like it's really hard to move up in the game, and it's a massive grind because of it. You don't get these cards very often, unless you buy the premium version with currency. And by currency, I mean dollars, real dollars. They, again, are encouraging people to spend more money in these games when they are full-priced $80 games. And that is bothering me more and more. I just feel like this industry specifically is going downhill, and these games, like this Star Wars Battlefront game, even with all this controversy, it'll still make money. But did they really need to input this microtransaction system to make money on the game? I'm starting to think that the answer is no, that they're just doing this for extra cash. And sure, people want their developers to succeed, and they want their games that they love to be able to come back and back for more and more sequels, but you just can't be pouring out money to developers like this. And EA specifically likes to buy franchises and then kill them immediately. See BioWare for that. I think Ghost Games is going to be on the chopping block eventually. They're the ones who made Need for Speed. But I used to really like EA games. I used to look out specifically to buy EA games because of my experiences with Need for Speed. And now it's the opposite. I have Origin. I have a lot of games on Origin. But it's pretty much only because they've been giving them away for free, which I appreciate. But it's not enough, EA. You've got to make better games, and you got to stop killing developers. Now, the big problem with games recently, at least from my perspective, is that they're starting to cost more and more to make, and therefore the investors are demanding more and more of a return out of it. It's becoming like movies where everything's a sponsorship in there to just try and get that extra cash just in case the movie doesn't do well. Or they make it so bland and generic that it appeals to everything, and then there's no risk involved with it, so it's probably going to make money. When it comes to this Star Wars Battlefront, there's pretty much no way that they won't make money on it. And having this system in there it's just greedy. I get it, like money, line these pockets, but this game probably costs a lot of dollars to make. Probably has a budget relative to some movies. And I don't think that that's sustainable. I really don't think that they're going to be able to keep doing that on the normal pricing ways that we've seen in the past. Just one price and then DLC prices, which I'm not fond of, but it just seems like the more expensive games get, the better excuses that these developers have, these publishers have to jack up the prices or add microtransactions or make expensive, really useless DLC or just do any of these money getting models that they have. Ooh. So my my talk today might just be doom and gloom. It might seem like it, at least. But it's important to know that there are still some good developers out there. I don't really, I didn't make a list or anything, but I'm sure that you know of developers that do respect people as consumers, but not just consumers, as people who love games and they want to play games that are good and they don't want to spend money on bad games. And when it comes to publishers, there definitely are some good publishers out there, as much as it seems like a bit of a scam to have a publisher sometimes. Some companies avoid it, like Ninja Theory in their recent game. I forgot what it's called, though. Hellblade? Yeah, something like that. They published it themselves. and it was still successful. But there are some good publishers out there, ones that do not invoke this kind of control like EA does. And I would encourage you to support games like that. They don't make as much money as these big EA games, but they can still be profitable and still give their developers and publishers a good lifestyle. And that's kind of what we want. We want them to see that the community is okay with their ways and not the EA's crappy ways. And these lesser developers, by lesser I mean less in size in the most case, they need to know that they can still be profitable and still be successful as a business, but while making good games and having a good business model and not some crap like what's been coming out recently. So I would hope that you take that into consideration. Obviously, EA publishes some massive games, and it's hard to avoid getting out of them if you're somebody who just really loves sports franchises, for example. It's hard not to play the latest NHL games. I know that because I also have a ton of sports games. I actually have every single NHL game for PC up until 2006, I think. No, I've every single NHL game up for PC up until 2008. And I also have 2007, 2006 on several systems. But yeah, I think you see my point. This is ending up being a long episode, my goodness. I think we're almost at 30 minutes. I think we only have one race in this section left, unless it's over. Unless I just did it. Oh, we just did it. Okay, that's perfect. I would say that that's some good timing. Excellent. So, we got another first there, that's perfect. Hey, it has been a long day. Hopefully you're enjoying this video series. I'm going to continue to make good ones like this. And tomorrow there'll probably be some Smite. If not, I'll be playing something else. I don't know. Like I said, I want to kind of change things up. I was thinking montages, but now I'm thinking gameplay. And yeah, just kind of got to pace myself a little bit more. But we'll see you then.